Demi Lovato's Dance the Devil, Dancing with the Devil. So not knowing much about her, by the way, going into this film, except I knew her name, knew that she had overdosed, and that's about it. And I think I may have caught her Grammy performance. She started to sing, stopped, and then so I didn't know much. But I have to say, for someone of her stature and her worldwide not ability to have, she has a huge audience, huge, lots of fans, lots of young teenage fans, people who are very inspired by her. She bears all, and she calls herself a junkie, and not just any junkie, like the real deal. And her whole life is put on display. In fact, the film shows clips and interviews from a documentary that was being made about her that she shut down, that no one's ever seen. And so they brought it back to life in pieces, trying to understand herself and why she fell apart, why she's a junkie, how she's trying to stay clean. And she admits that she doesn't know if she will. And she was hardcore. She overdosed with something that was laced with fentanyl. I think it was heroin laced with fentanyl. It was something so outrageous that no one should be alive. And she shouldn't be alive. And she even says she has 9 lives and she's pretty much used them all. And she is a party girl. There's no question about it. But she's extremely talented. And that was pretty obvious, that she maintained and continued to grow a fan base no matter how screwed up she was. And she has the support of a family that sticks by her. In this whole process, she gets engaged and it breaks up. She's in quarantine, and she could have been overdosing many a time, but she's still around and she's still telling her story. She's not, I'm going to say, the film doesn't really say this, but she's not well. And I'm going to guess she's got some serious health problems that will continue in her life. So she is dancing with the devil, and so to speak. You don't get as much as her music as I would have wanted to hear and know, but I think this, and I do feel not so much propaganda, but it's a warning to people. And when you're under the pressure of what she's doing as a performer, as a woman, as someone who's got to maintain an image and a high-end lifestyle, whatever that is for that world, it's too much. And also she's a Latina woman, so there's a lot going on there that people can understand on how you would break down. So
do you think that this is a good movie for like addicts who have kind of been through something similar to watch? Do you think that it would be uplifting for people in that situation?
Yes and no, because she kind of admits that she's not sure she'll stay on the straight and narrow. She doesn't trust herself.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not sure that that's good, but at the same time, she shouldn't be alive. And people, and her doctor gets on to say there's no reason for her to be here. She tipped the scales big time.
Yeah, I remember her. She's one of those Disney Channel kids.
Yeah.
I believe she left after the first or second season of the TV show she was the star of.
Right.
And so, but the other impression I also got was that she comes from a fairly strong family too. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like this is a cautionary tale about getting into Hollywood acting and the pressures that particularly women have in terms of, what's expected of them, how they're supposed to look, how they're supposed to act, and that whole routine of being being the celebrity that people want to see. I mean, did you get that kind of sense watching it?
Yeah, I did. And what was so fascinating is, like I said, I knew so little about her, but it wasn't until like maybe a quarter of the way through the film that you learn about her Disney past. It wasn't up front. It was more about like, be careful what you wish for. If this is this look, this style, this culture that is definitely hers, with, you know, her what she does and how she does it, and they do interview her fans who are just so inspired by her, and I'm thinking, wow, what is it that she is connecting to? And I think it's because they don't really go into it that much. They're trying to talk to people as if, do you really want this life? Do you think this is the way to be? Should you be putting this kind of idolism up on a pedestal, you know, instead of thinking about who you are as a person? And so it was kind of wacky, and it was also wacky but fascinating. Like, I was glued the whole time, like, because I was like, what else could go on in this woman's life? And, you know, switching managers, and she's smart. Like, she knows what she's doing. Someone in her world educated her to, this is how you're going to survive, and you can do this. And not everybody's got that. Not everybody's got a team. Not everybody can, you know, make a documentary about their overdose. So she's tough.
Yeah, incredible. What score did you give that?
I'd say another 8.5.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's just again, it's like, is this the lifestyle? Is the, you know, it's that price of fame, so to speak. And, and it's a big price, and I don't think people really realize what it is when they go in.
I remember, I think it was the comedian Artie Lang talk about how there's a certain high you get from an audience that you're trying to replicate in that way. I wonder how much of that was a factor in her life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, she has the confidence, and this is why I say she's kind of smart and bold. She has the confidence to, and it reminded me of the woman who did commit suicide or overdose, the amazing singer jazz. Amy Winehouse reminded me of her, that they have the ability to get on stage completely high out of their head and stop a song and walk away. Like that's bold in my mind. That you're not going to finish these. There's thousands of people out there who've paid to see you, and you can walk off stage. And I think that you're right. And I always think about that, like, whoa, you've got all these behind you, backing, massive stage. You've got people everywhere who are depending on you for money and their income, and you can just walk off no matter what. Like,
yeah. I mean, this is the discussion Hollywood doesn't want to have, but there is a discrimination, and it's a discrimination against normal looking people. And the amount of pressure. I mean, you know, she left the Disney Channel show. From my understanding, she left it because of an intense eating disorder problem.
Yes.
And you know, that just feeds into what Hollywood and to some degree what we want in our, you know, stars. You know, we want these perfect, skinny, beautiful people. And we feed into it. And then when you're only reading the trolls online talking about your appearances, that has to have a devastating impact as they're just kind of wailing away at you and your self-image.
Oh yeah, I think it chips away, and I think it, you know, is a subconscious thing when you start taking drugs to just kind of forget about that stuff and keep going and moving forward. And she in this film shows her real self. Like, you see her in all different stages of her current life. And we are so prone, even all of us who think that we can see life for what it is, we still have that ingrained in us because we've grown up with it. It's part of us. It's everywhere we look. And I think she didn't come out and say that, but that's what she was presenting. Like, you have to get behind the curtain here and see what's real.
Yeah, and we still have a system that perpetuates that, and no one's talking about it. No one cares.
Well, I think that's why it's the responsibility of artists and like producers and stuff like that to try to make stories with people that aren't like plastic mannequins. You know what I mean? I think that this is like a call to make that kind of film, make those kind of films or TV shows or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's getting better. I mean, it's getting more accepted, and I think, you know, in a pandemic, you know, and I'm curious to see what comes out of this pandemic and what people have been creating and what they're putting out there. I think we've been able to look as a culture, and she brings this up. You see inside what's horrible and what's out there. We've been given in the weirdest and most horrendous way. But can we overcome this idea of what we're supposed to be, especially when you have talent, like how it just gets, you know, commercialized and abused by other people? How do you keep going?
You know, I mean, indie films are, you know, I think they're just a much, you know, they're giving people a chance to, you know, I mean, they have to, because Hollywood's not going to hire average looking people. They're not going to hire imperfect people. And that's the great thing about independent film. That's the pool we can choose from. And there's great talent out there.
It's what we're left with.
There's a few hot, cheap people out there.
Absolutely.
That might be us.
I'm glad you got my point, and I'm going to be canceled. Just a matter of days now.